that way I don't have to. Okay. So everyone, this is Kathi Poulsen. She has been working with her company called Cracker Jack Photos for how many years now?
It's like 25 years. I don't want to admit that. We're getting old.
Experience. We can't see the word old in my class. We're getting
Okay. We're
experience.
very experienced.
Okay. Do you want to go ahead and show me your work, or do you want me to can you share?
Okay. I should probably kind of introduce myself first.
Okay.
Okay, I'm a mostly a baby photographer, but I do anything people orientated. And so my website is gonna have pictures of people, of course. And uh so just so you want your portfolio, your website is your business card nowadays. That's what you're going to share with people instead of a business card. And you want people to check out your work, whether it's an employer. Mine is geared to clients. I don't work for somebody, I work for myself. So I'm not trying to land a job, but mine is geared to clients so clients can see my work. How do I share my screen?
On the bottom, you should see a green arrow that says
Okay.
share. And you
Okay.
click, and now if your website's open, you'll see it as like on the screen, and you just click on it.
Okay. Mhm.
And if you can't do it, I can do it, but be better for you because then you can, stay or move on different images.
Okay. It's asking me questions. A second. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Mhm. Mm, I don't know. You're not seeing my screen, huh?
Not yet.
Okay. I push square share again. All right, there it is. All right. How about
There we
that?
go. You
Yeah, okay.
got it. Yes.
Okay, so this is my front page. And your front page, well, your portfolio should be like storytelling about you. It should look like your personality and be cohesive. So my front page um looks like this. And unfortunately, when I should have like this last week updated my thing. A lot of these pictures are like 15 years old on my front page. I will admit my web page doesn't follow the rules. I found a really cool let me click back to me. Maybe I can't. Maybe I don't know how to click back to me, but I'll share with you. I found a really cool website that last night that tells you how to make a portfolio, and it goes through a 10-step, and it's geared to not only photographers that want to be working for themselves, taking pictures of people, but it also, like if you were to want to go and get a job as a photographer. So I'll share that with you when I can figure out how to go back to me. I wrote it on a piece of paper for you to share. So your portfolio should be all about storytelling and about you. So first, gather a bunch of inspiration for your own website by looking at other people's work. And that's not to copy them, but so you can start like the more you see, photography is a visual thing, and the more you look at other things, the more ideas it sparks and things like that. And if you have a local competitive, check out their work, and again, not to copy them, but to maybe think of ways to make your photography stand out differently or better or whatever to your competition. And so your front page, people don't usually spend a lot of time on your front page. Mine's very little. You can see on my front page, I chose to use like muted colors. And your whole website can be needs to match, like use the same font. And as you see, as I go into the pages, I'm a kind of person that I like to do new stuff all the time. So my colors and stuff go kind of wild on my see my work pages. So and your a really important page on your portfolio is about Meet Me. And this is really an important page because people want to connect with their photographer. So I don't know, I'll read mine. And I wrote it probably 15, 20 years ago, but it says, I'm a pretty simple girl. Even before I got married at a young age, I loved to be surrounded by little ones. Yes, I was that little girl that begged to hold your baby. Another passion I have is to create with any medium. So naturally with 7 kids and 32 grandkids, and I think we're up to 40 now. And then I wrote a little update last night. We have 5 great grandkids. We're always creating some kind of mess. So photography is a fun way to create and capture life's mess because life is wonderfully happy and messy. Come visit me in my studio in my home in Hesperia, where it's filled with to the brim with all kinds of wonderful props and you can play with. Hopefully we'll have a chance to capture your messy, wonderful life beautifully. And it says, P.S. the handsome guy to my right, you'll meet him because he's my great assistant and my perfect husband. So, and then on mine, I have a little contact me, and it will go to your, your name, your phone number, and then add things. Here's my latest. I updated that last night. That's our latest family photo. So we're kind of a big family, and that will appeal to your clients that you want to join in your photography business. And if it doesn't appeal to them, they're like, oh, that lady's kind of old. I'm not sure if I want to work with her. That's good because they're not the people that you want to work with, right? So, and then another page that you should have is to book a session. And mine is totally wrong and not up to date because I'm really bad about checking different emails and stuff. So mine says, please call me and text me for appointment. Don't book on my webpage because I'm so bad that 4 days will go by and I'm like, oh, shoot, I should have checked that email. And today I tried to get in that email and somebody hacked it. That's where Miss Shelby sent my video link to, and it got hacked and I couldn't even get into it this morning. So make yours better. Make sure you check if that's where they're booking, make sure you check your website and it's good to have your prices on there. I know a lot of photographers are really scared to list their prices out in public, but that will eliminate the people that feel like they can't afford you. And that's kind of a waste of your time if you're going back and forth and discussing plans and what you want to do. And then you find out they can't afford you. So put your prices because then it eliminates that thing. On mine, I have a background choices. Like I told you, I like to do new things. So I have over 400. I won't scroll through them. You can scroll through them, but I have over 400 backdrops for them to choose because I don't like to do anything exactly twice. So I like a lot of variety. Are they able to ask questions, Chris?
Yes, they can.
Any questions? Does anybody have any questions?
Tressa?
So from your bio, you said that you just always loved babies and kids, always wanted to hold babies, but was there any photographers in particular who inspired your work?
I used to follow like Anne Bryant and my mind just went blank. There's a lot of you could even just Google baby photographers. I've never, besides going to VVC, everything else is kind of self-taught. There is so much on YouTube and so much on the internet that it's so easy to continue learning things from the comfort of your home. I have my studio in my home. I like to be at home. So there's a lot of photographers. Kelly Brown is a good photographer. She's in Australia. She's really down to earth and stuff. She's getting older, so she's scaling back a little bit and isn't doing as much. But she's a good one for simplicity and She shares, she's a really good sharer. I don't know why a lot of photographers are so like secretive, like they don't want to share their education and how they learned.
George, you had a question?
Well, she said she was self-taught. Did other than VVC, did she go anywhere else or do any other than online or anything?
No, once a year I go to WPPI, which is, what is that? Professional, wedding professional something, and it's in Vegas. And I don't even go to the paid classes. Like the backdrop company I have will have models there and have examples of photo shoots going on, and like Canon will have photo shoots going on, and then they even have like sit down question and answer type lectures and stuff like that. I've done that kind of education, but besides that, no, just self-taught.
Gianni, you had a question?
I was gonna ask, what would be like your like photographic like goal when it comes to taking picture of the young children or baby?
So what are your goals when you take your pictures of the babies and the kids?
So my goals. Okay, so number one, I want to make my client happy, and the client is the mom. So we have a conversation, and so I know exactly what she wants. If I'm doing a cake smash, I'll talk like, what do you want it to look like? You know, and they'll tell me like a mermaid theme, and I'll get some inspiration either from past photo shoots that I've done or from the internet and send them. And a lot of my back and forth is on Facebook. So it's in Messenger or texting. If people have texted me, it's back and forth and that kind of thing. And so I'll send them a couple pictures and, you know, do you want it to look like this or do you want to look like this? And so they choose that. And then my goal is to make them happy, because your best customer is the last happy customer, because they're going to come back to you. And so my goal is to communicate well, and then set it up so that the mom is happy. And then as they're here in the studio, you know, I talk to them like, you know, what's really important? Do you want details? Do you want big happy pictures of the whole scene? And then you do a variety. And then I always ask them when we're done, did I get everything that you wanted? You know, if you leave, we can't do it. You know, we can't recreate it. So make sure you tell me, you know, did we get everything we wanted? And when they come in and they see my setup, you know, whether it's a cake smash or when I'm doing babies, I always say, these are your photos. So it will not hurt my feelings if you tell me, take that out, or can we change that? So my goal is the family to leave here quickly and happy.
Kathy, a couple quick questions. First of all, the class may not know what a cake smash is, so can you tell them what a cake smash is?
So a cake smash is something that's
Do you have a
getting,
picture?
yes, let's go see my work. I have a whole, this
Uh-oh.
is, I have a whole section for cake smashes. These are cake smashes.
Big face.
So it's usually a 1-year-old child. They come in their cute little outfits and they smash a cake, and you take pictures of it. And so these are different themes. And although like this little guy here in the Volkswagen van doesn't have a cake in front of him right now, well, maybe now he has a cake. Does that make sense? So we do some pictures. My setup is we usually do some pictures. And if the mom wants, like, I always ask, do you just want them in the set, the fun set, or do you want some classic ones? So if they want classic ones, they're not listed here in my cake smash. I'll put a plain backdrop and do a more traditional plain portrait of them, and then set up my little fun thing, my fun cake smash setup. And you can see it's really popular. It's, if you're gonna, I am so happy, because when I was a mom, we didn't do this. We didn't pay a photographer to take pictures of our kids smashing cakes. It's really good for our industry. And so So this is, I'll ask the mom, what do you think this setup should look like? And this mom here with a little boy in the blue balloons wanted something very simple and just wanted to like showcase him. So it's just balloons and him. Or, there's another simple one, but then there's other parents. That's kind of cute, that one. Other parents want really elaborate, they want Mickey Mouse, or they want a lot of flowers, or they want a camping thing, or this one's kind of elaborate with, the child is one and wanted a baby Yoda theme. So they pay me to play with their babies, smash a cake. And then I don't know if I stuck a picture in here, but then I always end up, maybe I don't have a picture on my website. I have a cute little tub or a little metal tub that we end up in a bubble bath to clean up the baby, but we take pictures. And I don't usually put those on on Facebook, even because one time I did a baby in a cocoa cup. So I made a planter look like a cocoa cup, and we did a cocoa hot chocolate photo shoot, and I posted it on it, and it was an 18-month-old little girl and an 18-month-old little boy. There's a little bathtub. So I always send in a bathtub. But I got banned from Facebook for 2 weeks because I showed the little girl's naked top. I can show little boys naked tops, but I can't show little girls naked tops, I guess. But I got banned from Facebook. There's a little tub one. So we always end up in the tub at the end. So I do pictures, the cake smash, and a tub, and we get that done in an hour. And
George had a question, and then Kim had a question. There's a bunch of questions right now.
okay.
Well, mine's a two-part. One is just out of curiosity, what camera does she shoot with? And then the second is, do you print? And if you do print, what do you use to print?
Okay, I do not print. I like, okay, I'm probably not the best one to talk in that series. I love shooting. I love editing. I do not like selling, and I do not like printing. So I do not print. I will print for them and I will send it to a professional lab, but I do not print myself. I've gotten so busy, I don't want to use that time printing. Does that make sense? And that's totally a choice. There's tons of photographers that do their own printing because they feel like they have more control of the quality and how it looks to their customers. It's just not something I like to do. And I don't like to sell. My packages, you can choose how you want them delivered, and that's a fee. And they can choose just to get prints, but what is that called? I'm not the kind of photographer that has them come here and I try to upsell them. And sometimes you get criticized for that in the photo industry, but that's not what I like to do. I'm not a salesperson. I like to take pictures. I like happy customers and I want them to come back. So that's a personal choice, whether you want to do, I think it's called PPO, personal something, selling, having someone sit down and like, okay, you get, and my choice is to give them all the good photos that they get. And so they usually get like 30, 40 pictures. Other people like to do, you get 5 and then they upsell them on more images. And that's totally a perfect for that, that type of photographer. It's just not my love. I don't like to have people come back and try to upsell them.
Kim, you had a question?
Who was our teacher at BBC and who influenced her?
Who was your teacher at VBC? I can answer that one. And who influenced you?
Okay, Brentwood, and Shelby was my classmate. Miss Shelby was my classmate. And he was amazing in technology, and like he had a lot of little things like only show what you want to sell. And I was going to bring that up. So if you don't like cake smashes, certainly don't put cake smashes on your website. Okay. I can imagine, I don't know, this sounds sexist, but there's probably a lot of guys that don't want to do cake smashes. Do you know what I mean? It seems more like a mother matronly thing, but Not if you want to do them, that's great. But I'm just saying, if you don't want to do cake smashes, don't show cake smashes. Show on your portfolio website what you like to do.
Gianni, you had a question?
What editing software you can use for
What editing software do you use? And then
So-
also, as a corollary, what lab do you send the work to get printed? If you don't mind sharing.
I send them to Pro Prints because they even do canvases, really pretty canvases. So it's easy to go to Pro Prints. They started out as a canvas place, and I guess it's just out of habit. I don't even know, but there is Miller's Lab. That's a good one. And oh shoot, I hate being old and experienced. I can't remember things when I'm nervous. So there's a lot of good labs. When I do school pictures, we do a lot of school dances. And so I send them to National Lab because they do like packages, like one 5x7 and one 8x10 and 8 wallets. Do you know what I mean? And they have like great prices. They're like 86 cents. And, you know, people aren't expecting canvas quality prints at a school dance. So I use National Labs for that because of the price point. People don't want to spend a whole lot of money on a 5x7 we do elementary school dances. They don't want to spend that much on elementary school pictures. They're happy to pay me $5 for a 5x7. So I have to find somebody that does it well, but inexpensive. So
And then
okay.
what editing software are you using?
I shoot in RAW, always shoot in RAW because you can fix so many mistakes when you shoot in RAW. And then I take them to Lightroom, and that's where I do fix like lighting issues, or I don't know, my camera always seems to, maybe it's my lights, always seems to make skin tones a little bit orange. So I will fix like the orange skin tones in Lightroom. And then I don't use a lot of presets. I usually just hand edit, but that if you choose to want presets are things you download into Lightroom and you click a little button and it does it to all your pictures. I like more control. So I kind of hand edit each picture. You know, I fix each picture, brighten up the eyeballs and stuff in Lightroom, and then I send them over to Photoshop. And, you know, if I need to crop it so that my backdrop looks good in the picture, or if I want to extend it. I don't know if you guys have been able to play with Photoshop and AI, but it's scary, amazing what it can do.
We have a lot of hands. I think, Erica, did you have your hand up at one point? I'm trying to catch up.
I was just curious on the setups, like when a client requests a specific theme, is that something that you have already and give them options, or do you go and shop for what they are asking for?
Because I've been in business for so long, do you just see my, on your end, do you only see my web page, or do you see me also?
We see you in your background.
Okay, so that's I have a magnetic wall that my backdrops are on, and then they're on a slidey thing. So I can change them really quick so that I can have a couple on there. But I'm going to turn my thing and show you that I'm kind of prop crazy. This is my flower collection.
The whole wall, folks.
So my whole room, my shooting area is only about 10 by 10. And I've collected enough props that now I don't have to buy things. But I do, you know, like I will print, like that little Yoda one, I will print little Yodas to put in the picture. I don't know, let's see. Like this little sweet one, I cut that out with a Cricut. I didn't have it, but all the little fake, most of those are fake food, not his cake. I just have a collection of fake food, if that makes sense. I have a lot of flowers. Flowers are a cheap way to fill in. This guy here with the pumpkins, I have a lot of fake pumpkins. So I'm kind of prop crazy, and you don't have to be. That's just my style. Do you know what I mean? You can be a photographer that, like this little guy, be very minimalist And to tell honest truth, that is the way the industry is going. I was just complaining in my backdrop group on Facebook. I have 400 different fantastic, beautiful backdrops, and everybody wants to do plain beige lately.
That's the irony, isn't it? We have a
It
bunch,
is.
we have a bunch of questions. I think Tressa and then Swanee, and then there's a bunch. Go ahead.
Getting the photos processed for canvas prints somewhere else, how do you share your photos with the clients?
How do you share your pictures with the clients?
So up here I have photo albums. So after they do a session, then they have their own little thing that has all their pictures in. This one's kind of fun. They want to do in and out. So these are all edited, but I tell the mom, you know, what if you want me to crop it different, you want me to make it black and white, there can be further edits. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes you miss, like, you know, if the baby has a little scab on its cheek or something, and you'll miss it in some of the pictures, and the mom will like, oh, can you like get that little owie off his cheek? You know what I mean? So these are all edited, and that's where the parent sees them. And like I said, if you're the type of photographer that you're going to sell individual, then they would give you a list of image numbers. And the image numbers are right there if you click on it. And then they can buy additional ones. But like I said, I just sell them the whole album.
Does that answer the question, Tressa? They see them on her website and then they order from there. That's how they're doing it.
Specifically, what type of file is she doesn't give her raws away, obviously.
No, no.
Never,
Yeah.
ever.
Okay, so let's say that, so do you then are you responsible for sending the images to, let's say, Pro Prints, or are you giving them like a flash drive? Are you sending the images through like email?
So I used to have packages. I cannot go to the front page of my website. Shouldn't have clicked on that.
Go to the tab.
I am so illiterate on a Mac.
You're right.
Right here.
The tab, in above the Cracker Jack photos, you'll see photo albums, Cracker Jack photos. It's a tab. I click on that.
There we
Yeah,
go. Okay, thank you.
no worries.
I use a PC 99% of the time. So, so when I get on a Mac, everything is in a different place. But the question was, oh, okay. So I have a session fee. This is how I do it. It might not work for you. A lot of people do it different. I have a session fee. I have a set session fee. And last year, so my set session fee, and I know I'm cheap, but we're in the high desert. I had 7 kids. I know, and I make plenty of money. I've done it long enough that I can edit and stuff really quick. But my sessions are $200. And if you want to put it on a card or Zelle, I charge $225. So $225 is the electronic price. $200 is the cash price. And that pays for the session. And on my cake smashes, I get a very simple cake. I have a deal with a baker that sells me cakes very cheap. And I include that in the cake smash. And then I put them on the website in their little albums. These are the albums. And you can see I'm mostly a child photographer. And so they view them, and then they can choose whether they want a flash drive for $60 or a CD or a digital download for $50. And then I have print prices if they want prints. And they certainly can order prints and a flash drive, or they can just order a flash drive, or they can just order prints. I try to keep it simple. I used to have packages where you got, you know, like an 8x10 and 2 5x7 and stuff, but everybody wanted to change it. Everybody was like, well, I don't want an 8x10. I have another grandma, so I need more 5x7. So I do it where they totally can just shop and buy as much or as little as they want.
Okay, we have lots of other questions. Swanee, you've had your hand up for a while. And so is Ken.
Did you like choose to get into this type of photography, or was this like kind of like thrown on to you?
How'd you get into this?
I got into this because, like I said, I had 7 kids, so I was on a budget. And when their school pictures would come back, I would absolutely hate them. And sorry, my husband's bringing me treats. I absolutely hated them. So I thought I could do better than that. Because with 7 kids, it was a big chunk of money to get school pictures. And so I started taking them and I realized, yeah, it looks like an amateur is taking them. So that's when I started going to VVC, only to take pictures of my kids. And then I had another side business going. I used to make teddy bears and sell them to gift stores. And that's what I was doing when I went to VVC, because I only went there to improve so I could do good family pictures. Fell in love with it, and it's just blossomed from that.
Ken, question? What kind of camera are you using?
I am using a Canon R6, I believe. I should have brought it in here, huh? I just, about a year ago, I changed to a mirrorless. I felt like my other Canon, like I said, my biggest struggle, and I don't know why, maybe Miss Shelby can tell me, but I struggle with orange skin tones.
Okay.
And in our area, our demographics is Hispanic, and I have a lot of African American customers, and so their skin is dark, and I have a hard time when my pictures are raw, that I have like an orange hue. And I remember what the people look like. They didn't look orange. So I felt like, and it is, the mirrorless camera seems to be, battle that a lot better than my other Canon. Might be my lighting, I don't know.
We have Sierra and then we have Nate.
What is her turnaround time from like when she starts the shoot to when she gets all the images in line?
What's your turnaround time?
A week to 10 days.
Okay.
Don't, and then I try to, there used to be a photographer, she was mostly wedding, but it was Jasmine Starr. And she always said, promise little or promise big and deliver little. So like if you promise a week to 10 days, make sure you get them there before the 7 days, because then they're excited. Does that make sense? Then they think, oh, if you promise them in 10 days and you deliver in 7 days, then you're fantastic. Does that make sense? If you promise them in 3 days and you don't deliver them until 10 days, then you're kind of looked at as like a loser. Does that make sense? So promise big, deliver. I think I have it backwards. Just get them there faster than you promised, and then you look good.
With a lot of other hands up. Gianni, did you have a question way back there? No, Nate? How long are your sessions? Yeah, talk about your time management.
So my sessions are an hour long, and it doesn't always take an hour. When I feel like I've gotten what I have, like I said, I always turn to whoever's in charge, which in my case is usually the mom. And I will say, did I get everything that you wanted? Make sure we got everything that we wanted, because you dressed up your whole family. You don't want to dress them up again. And humor is great. I love being humorous. And so, and laughing with my customers and getting to know them and stuff. And so my sessions, they are booked for an hour, but I usually can get them done between a half an hour and 45 minutes and get enough pictures for them.
And as a side question, how many sessions are you typically doing during a day?
During a day, my husband retired, so I'm supposed to be only doing like 1 a day, but I usually do like 4 or 5 a day. And then I should tell you, I do offer mini sessions. So a lot of people, they just want a few pictures on their 4th birthday or their 6-month birthday, the things that are not so traditionally big. They just want to come in. I have half an hour sessions that I do for $150, but the digital is included in that. And so they can come in for a half an hour. Well, 20 minutes is what I tell them. 20 minutes, one background, one outfit, mini session. And for one child is that price. If they want to add a child, it's $10 more, just to pay me a little money for a little more editing. Because if you have 2 kids in it, you'll take individuals of both of the kids at some point.
Damien?
What's better in your opinion, crop sensor or full frame? And can you explain why?
They're getting technical on you, Kathy. Do
I
you
know.
prefer a crop sensor or full frame? You always, I think, full frame, aren't you?
I think I'm full frame because I edit in Lightroom and Photoshop, if that makes sense.
Okay, Kim?
Oh, Vivian was first.
Oh, Vivian, I'm sorry, Vivian.
Okay, sorry.
How much time does you take editing?
How much time do you take editing?
So I always tell my customer, if I'm in here for an hour with you, I'm behind my computer screen at least 2 hours. But I let me bring up a baby album. I like these here. Of course, I have no moon in my studio, or I don't put babies on hoops and stuff. I really like to do Photoshop. And so I do enhance. I really don't, this baby's really not in a box of bears. I've taken this baby and cut it out and put it in there. This baby isn't really by a Christmas tree. Do you know what I mean? So I do a lot of photoshopping too. And I've started to work with AI, and that is kind of amazing.
What type of light in, flash, and reflectors?
They want to know your lighting setup.
Okay, so I use Paul Buff because I feel like for a long time I was using Flashpoint because they were inexpensive, but I think they're not as consistent, and it's easy to edit because Paul Buff is consistent in what the pictures look like when you go to edit them. And so, sorry, this cake is just so you don't poke your eye out. And so my Paul Buff.
No, because she's sharing.
Can you see it? Is that good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this Paul Buff, and they're kind of known in the newborn industry as great newborn lights. And then I use the big parabolic umbrella because it spreads the light so beautiful. It's
Kathy, can you stop share real quick? At the bottom, you'll see a stop share button. Might be at the bottom of the top, depending on your computer.
okay.
There we go. Now we can see your light better.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So this is my Paul Buff, big old umbrella. And I felt like it was too strong, so I even have 2 diffusers on it. And these little clamps are just because I hate for it to fall off because it's a pain to put on. And my second light is permanently on my ceiling just for space wise. And it's down low. It's just a fill light. It also is a Paul Buff, but it's down on the lowest setting. And I just have a cheap umbrella on it because it's just a fill light. This is my main light with a big parabolic umbrella on it. It's beautiful for skin, and it has really gorgeous tones, and it lights evenly. Kind of like a overcast day. If you shoot outside, it's kind of like that beautiful light.
What about flash and reflectors?
Do you have any flash or reflectors? Oh, there's strobe lights. There's strobes. They are going to.
They're strobes, yes. They are hooked to, here's my little receiver. I didn't bring my camera out here, but on my camera, it has a transmitter. So they automatically will fire. And so the beauty of shooting in a studio is once I get my lights set, unless I want to change like the dramatic feeling of the pictures, I set them to what I like and I leave them there for the next 10 photo shoots until, sometimes like in maternity or senior pictures or stuff, you want more dramatic lighting. So I'll play with the settings and change. So one is brighter than the other, so it's more dramatic. But 90% of the time they are on the same setting always. I'll turn them down a little when I set up a baby, I set up a little platform that I put a baby on, and then I'll soften the lights a little bit because it's a little bit harsh on a baby. But rather than that, I don't play with the settings a whole lot. I'm a simple person. I like to keep things simple. But you know, if you're more into the fashion photography, you'll probably play with your lights a lot.
Sierra,
Does she have any advice for someone who would want to get into this type of photography?
do you have any advice for people getting into what you do?
Yeah, just we all have families and friends. Just start inviting them and using them as your models. That's what I use my children. Then I started using my grandchildren. I think I even took pictures of Miss Shelby's daughter once. You know what I mean? So use your friends, use your relatives, and give them free or really low cost photography sessions until you build your portfolio. And you'll see, and that's the best way. You learn from your mistakes. You don't learn from your great, perfect photo shoots. You learn from your mistakes.
Any more questions right now? Can you show us more of your, can you share again and show us more of your pictures?
All right.
Please, please. While you're doing that, I had a couple questions for you. Can you go through like a typical day for you? Like, how does that start off? And like, because I think, having visited you, I kind of know the routine, but I'd like for you to go over it with the students.
Okay. I'm a late night person, so I don't usually wake up till 8 o'clock in the morning. I spend my first hour, like, it seems like that's when you get all your messages. People have messaged you in the middle of the night and stuff like that. I don't know how to get rid of that.
It's okay, you don't need to.
Okay. I don't know how to get rid of this little thing here.
Don't worry about it.
So I spend the first hour like answering questions, and I hate questions. and I have like, I don't know if you know, you guys can do this on your phone. This saved me a lot of stuff. In your settings, you can go and do voice commands. So you can type out a whole paragraph and give it one word as the prompt. So if someone says, how much are your photo sessions? All I have to type on my phone is session fee, and my whole thing comes up and I can send it to them. And so my biggest pet peeve is I will send that to people and then they'll say, well, how long are your sessions? And it says it in the letter. And then they'll ask me, well, what does it cost? And it's in the letter. And then they'll ask you what is included in the, and I'm like, and you have to be sweet. You have to be nice. My husband laughs because, you know, when you're talking, you're like, rah, 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 and then you text and you're like, sugar, sugar, heart, I love you. You're my best customer. And you have to be that way. Everybody has to feel like they're your favorite, best customer. But I just have already prompts in my phone. Like, I require a $25 retainer, and that's important. And if you don't want to be ghosted, you don't have to have a big retainer. Nobody wants to lose $25. So I have a $25 retainer that is non-refundable, but it applies to the session. So like if the session is $200, they've made a $25 retainer, then they owe me $175 the day of the shoot. But retainers are really important because you don't want to be ghosted. You don't want to waste your time. Or if you're really busy, you don't want to set aside time for somebody that doesn't show up when you could have been making money with somebody that was more reliable and you turned them away.
So after your messages, what's the next part of your day?
Then I usually, if you're my kind of photographer, there's always a lot of housework to do. So I usually go and clean the studio and vacuum it and start pulling props and things like that. My first sessions usually start at 9:30, 10 o'clock. And so I have to get that all set up. I allow myself a half an hour in between sessions because you got to clean up and put away whatever you brought out. And like I said, I'm prop heavy, so it's usually a lot of stuff. And then you have to vacuum again, perhaps, or clean up cake, or, you know, mop up the mess, the water mess from the bath. And then you start setting up another session. And so I just do that throughout the day, and try to keep this room as neat as I can. I have grandkids that come and play store in my, when they come over, they want to play store and sell my props to each other. That's their like favorite thing to do. And when the parents come in and say, okay, it's time to go clean up, I'm like, I'll clean it up. Because although I have a giant mess in here, I know exactly where stuff is. So I'm very, very careful to always put stuff back in its right place, and then I can find it. And at the end of the day, the last session, to tell the honest truth, I usually walk away and leave it a mess and clean it up in the morning.
And then you're editing at night?
So I like my sessions. It seems like more and more people are wanting to do night sessions, but usually I typically like to end my day about 6 p.m. And then I feed dinner to my husband and stuff. And then I sit down and edit for the evening.
Okay.
So it's more than full time, but you can regulate that and be as busy as you want to be.
Ken, you had a question?
Yeah, so are your retainers the same thing as a deposit?
Are the retainers the same thing as a deposit?
Legally, you call them a retainer, because a deposit, legally, if they don't show up, you have to give it back to them. So call it a retainer.
That's a good-
Okay, that's a good point. Other questions right now? Okay, all right.
Well, I guess, is there a big demand? What's the future look like for it?
What's the future of this? Is there a demand?
I think as like photo, the traditional JC Penney, Walmart photo studios are closing, there's a more demand of it. And it seems like with Facebook and Instagram, and you guys could probably school me on all the different platforms. I just do Instagram and Facebook, and majority of my customers come from Facebook. But as those get more and more popular, people want photos and beautiful photos to share. So I see that on a rise, and things like I said, when I had kids, we didn't do cake smashes. When I was pregnant, we didn't do maternity pictures. Those are really big in what I do. That's what I do mostly is, babies, and even the newborn sessions weren't, we got tooth pictures at JC Penney's. Now people want, several poses creatively in different baskets and things like that. So I see that on the rise. But when, 10 years ago, somebody would say, oh, I'm looking for a baby photographer on Facebook. And there would be like 3 photographers recommended by people on Facebook. Now, when people say, I'm looking for a photographer, now there's 100, people recommend 100 different photographers. So although there's a lot more opportunity to take pictures and different things to do with pictures, I think there are a lot more photographers than there were 10 years ago.
Any questions? Questions? I have another question. You post your prices on your website. How often do you update your prices? Do you do them every year, or is it just stay basically the same?
Oh, I'm terrible. I love my job, and so I'm not in it for like, I know I'm never going to be this rich person, and that's my goal. Your goal could be, I want to, do a 5-figure income every year or something. I don't know. So I have only changed my prices like 4 times the whole time I've done this. And it's like $50 increments. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So I don't change my prices a whole lot.
George?
I know she probably uses different lenses, but what's her go-to lens in the studio?
What's your go-to lens?
24-70.
Okay.
That's on my camera 90% of the time. I think it's just really versatile. If I want to do close-ups of a baby's feet or something like that, if I want to do, you know, where there's a lot of bokeh in the background, I'll switch to a 50 millimeter, a 2 point something 50 millimeter.
Now, are you doing any on location photography anymore?
Yes, but like I said, show what you want to do.
Mhm.
I've gotten so busy and I want to cut back. I'm 66 years old. My husband's retired. I gotta slow down. Do you know what I mean? Just
Mhm.
because of my age. And so in my mind, if I charge $200 to go over to Hesperia Lakes to take pictures, that's going to take me 2 hours because I got to go over there, meet the family, take the pictures, and then go back home. So I do everything that I can to stay here at my house. And I know I'm a homebody. So I have a front yard that I've kept really pretty, and I've purposely planted tall trees and stuff to hide my neighbor's yard and stuff like that. And so I try to encourage people and maybe bait them to do them here. I'll say, oh yeah, we could go to anywhere that you want, but just know if you come here to my house, we can do half in the studio and half in my yard, and then you'll have two looks. And that almost always sells them to come to me.
Smart thinking, smart thinking. Any other questions? Yes, Caitlin.
Does she charge more when she does on-site because she has to drive out there?
Ah, good question. So Caitlin asked, do you charge more if you have to drive somewhere?
I don't charge anymore if it's in the high desert, but I'm considering changing that. But I do charge travel fees if I have to go anywhere lengthy.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
Is that travel fee like dependent on how far it is, or is it like a standard travel?
No, no. It depends on how far, because like if I used to do, sorry, my husband's going in and out of the house. You know, a lot of people I've done it in like Lytle Creek. Lytle Creek is only a half an hour away. And that, but then somebody wants me to go to USC to do graduation pictures. I'm going to charge more to go there. You're going to be on the freeway forever. You know what I mean? There and back. So yeah, take in consideration mileage, gas, and the time you're away, you know, because you don't want to, if you can make $200 staying at home and they come to you, why, you know, make it worth your day, you know, because you could be doing 3 or 4 photo shoots here at your house and, you know, or your studio or close locations if you're just going to be a location photographer. And there's a lot of photographers that just do locations and don't have a studio. That's just my preference. So, you know, take that into consideration. If you're going down to the beach, it's going to take you all day and you could have done 3 or 4 photo shoots. So price accordingly.
When you are on location, what equipment do you take with you?
I'm pretty basic. I do have a flash that is battery charged.
Mhm.
And it's one that my husband almost always goes with me. I'm lucky in that fact that I have a built-in helper. But I just put that on a straight pole and he'll hold it and move it for me if I need it. But 90% of the time I just use sunlight and my camera. And I do have a flash that I put on my camera when I do location to just kind of fill the shadows, because you know, and timing of the day is probably more important than your equipment. You know, that 1 hour before sunset is going to make it so much more easier on you to take the pictures and not worry about the sun placement and get good pictures than if it's in the middle of the day and they have shadow under their eyes and things like that. So time of day is great. You could get up an hour after sunrise, but most people don't want to do that. That's like 6 a.m. in the morning. So usually if they want to do outdoor pictures, depending on daylight savings time and stuff, it's usually about 4:30, 5 o'clock.
Do you scout locations if they want to do something out? They're really determined to be outside.
Yes, I do. And Pixie Set will let you have like free photo shoots. I don't know if I could get there on my Mac, but I do have my favorite locations on a separate web. I should move it over to my website, but I just send them a link to a pixie set thing and it will have like, you know, I don't really like Hesperia lakes, but like it will have a Hesperia lakes. It will have, I found a grove of trees down by the Mojave River in Apple Valley that, you know, I have, and in that I have examples of the pictures that I've taken there before. So they can get the feel of what they are. Does that make sense? I said that really poorly. There's a place in the desert that's just a half a mile up from my house that I've taken a lot of pictures if they want the Joshua trees, and this just happens to look over Lake Silverwood and stuff like that, the mountains. And so I have pictures of families that I've taken there. Or I tell them, go look at my family album. It's usually family pictures that you do on location, senior pictures. So in my family album, you want to be diverse in your portfolio. You want to show different ethnicities, only because different skin tones, you need to show that you can light any skin tone. So this is just, you know, up the block from my house where you can see the mountains and stuff like that. And so in your portfolio, you know, make sure that you show like different locations, different kinds of people. You know, you want to show that I can take really great pictures of people that look model-esque and skinny, but you know, I can take some good pictures if you're not model-esque either and you're carrying a little bit of extra weight. Do you know what I mean?
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about posing. How do you pose? We have a group of people here on this shot. We have, looks like a little baby, maybe around one-ish. And then we have all the way up to, looks like the father. How do you pose people on this?
Okay, my style, and it's just my style, it's not a rule, is I always put husband and wife together. This is the wife. She's very short. So she doesn't look like the wife. She looks like one of the children. But I always put the husband and wife together cuddling. So they're a couple. And then you have to make like triangles. Remember the triangle rules? Do they teach that at BBC? I don't know. So in posing, you want to do triangles. This is a triangle kind of like, you know what I mean? Across here. This is a triangle. It's just pleasing to the eye. People smarter than me have already decided that triangles look really good. I like my people a little bit closer. Some people you can see even in the high desert, you know, you can see that triangle, you know what I mean? This little triangle here. And an easy way to do it is like tall person, put a short person there. That makes a triangle. Does that make sense? She's filling in that spot. The dad would have been naked there. The mom is really small. So the dad is holding the baby because we're going to fill in that spot. Does that make sense? We're going to use her to fill in this spot. Does that help? Any questions?
Now, I see that do you have conversations about what they're wearing?
Sometimes if they pick their backdrop, I just let them wear what they want. If they say, oh, we want to use your creativity, then I say, send me pictures of your outfits or tell me what colors you're wearing. You know what I mean? But there are some photographers, this is just a thought, some photographers send suggestions because they want their work to be cohesive and it's their style. That is not me. I'm here to make the mom happy. Do you know what I mean? If I do say, thank you for coming in dressed up, I say there's a little photographer's secret that if we haven't met you and you come in all gorgeous, we're like, yay, you're going to make me look good. But if you come in with your SpongeBob t-shirt, there's really not a whole lot I can do for you, if that makes sense.
Yes. Tim?
What f-stops you prefer to use in a tripod?
Do you use a tripod, and then what f-stops are you using?
Okay, so I do not use a tripod. To me, that like stifles your creativity to be stuck on a tripod. Plus, like I said, I like to be simple. If I used a tripod, I'd have to bring a tripod. I don't want to bring a tripod. So you have to have a steady hand, and my pictures aren't always straight. This is very straight, but perhaps I fixed it in Lightroom. I always shoot a little bit bigger than what I think I'm going to crop, because then you have room to straighten it and things like that in Lightroom. That's what I do in Lightroom. I straighten my pictures, fix the lighting. You know, if their faces are a little dark, then I bump up the shadows and things like that. And so just shoot just a tiny bit wider, you know what I mean? Not huge, just tiny bit. And then you have some crop room. But nowadays, even in Photoshop with AI, if it's crooked and you ask it to do a generative fill, when you crop it, it will fill in the blank spots, and it does amazingly well.
And then f-stop for
F
something like
stop, F stop. It depends completely. Like what time of day, you know, they're in the shade. I wouldn't shoot them. This was probably shot like F8, not F11. Do you know what I mean? Because it's in the shade and I want their faces lit up. If they were out in the direct sun, it would probably be F11, you know what I mean? Something like that, a little. And in my studio, I usually shoot about at a 4 or a 5. I'm not good with numbers. I know they have like 4 point something, but a 4 or 5, only because I want my background to blur out, if that makes sense. When I shoot babies, I take it all the way down to, what is that, 2 point something, because I really want it. I want their face in focus, but I don't want their booty in focus, if that makes sense, because that just is what baby pictures look good. That wouldn't look good on this family here if she was sharp and they were not in sharp. So just make sure that you have, you know, play with your lights, get someone to stand in for you, and just make sure that your f-stop, try to put them on a level field. Like these guys are all kind of on the same space. He's a little bit further back. So set your f-stop that he's not going to be blurry. And that's trial and error and how high your lights are. You know what I mean? I have my lights set pretty low. So I shoot pretty low. And then that, you know, and it just depends where you take. But, you know, if I would shoot a different f-stop than if I was up here in the mountains where it's a lot brighter. They're in the shade. I shoot a lot of my outside pictures in the shade. It makes it easy.
So do you try to book like during golden hour?
Yes.
Okay.
If you don't, then, you know, I'll even say that I had a friend that wanted me to do her family pictures, and they could only get together at 12 o'clock in the afternoon, and they wanted to do it one of the most popular places. And I hope a photographer doesn't ruin it by doing something stupid, is over at Sunset Hills in Apple Valley. Everybody wants their pictures in Sunset Hills, Apple Valley. It's like the prettiest place, you guys. It's a cemetery, but they have beautiful buildings and beautiful arches and stuff like that. And she wanted it at noon, and I gave her that, okay, but they might not be the most flattering pictures. So, you know, maybe like, especially if you're starting off, you know, maybe you can talk people into coming at golden hour by their vanity, by telling them they'll be a lot more flattering if we do it golden hour. But we did it at noon. They're not on here. It was just a couple months ago, so they're not in there. This was a pretty sunny day over at Sunset Hills. And I think that's why Sunset Hills is kind of fun, because you can do, you know, the mountains in the background, but then you can do the arches. So yes, I always encourage them to, if we're doing outdoor photos, to do it in golden hour.
Other questions? Do we have any questions? Okay, well, Kathi, this has been wonderful. Anything that any final thoughts you have to impart for the class?
Just shoot all the time. That's how you learn. You know, I know you have to edit those pictures. Like I take a lot of landscape pictures when we're on vacation and stuff. And I always tell my husband, I don't know why I'm taking these. They're just going to sit on my computer. I'm never going to edit them. But what you do love, shoot a lot. And that's how you learn. You learn from your mistakes. And And then you just get better. Look at other people's work, not to copy, but to grow your mind with ideas.
Any final thoughts for Kathy, class? All right, well, Kathy, this has been a joy. Thank you so much for doing
Thank
this.
you.
for our students.
And if anybody wants to come play in my studio, a couple of students have done that. Come over and played. They're welcome to come.
Field trip.
No. Her studio literally is 10 by 10. She'll exceed the fire capacity for sure.
We'll have to sit on laps.
Yeah, but I have done it. She's been very gracious to have me over a couple of times, and I've watched her. I've been kind of the fly on the wall, and I think it's fantastic how she works a lot, class. She has these, they come in quick. She has very good time management skills. She has really good ways of working with the people, because after they've done their Photoshop, they kind of want to relax and sit and chat. She doesn't have that kind of life to have them kind of sit and chat. And she's very good at being very polite, but getting them out the door so that she can prepare for the next shoot. So this is, you're working hard on this. You'll see her, it's kind of like a cool place to visit because of all your backdrops and your wall of flowers, and she has boxes of props, and she knows where every single one is. So it's really a very cool place to visit. Yes, Kim.
Do she hire students from BBC?
You hire students from VVC.
Besides grandkids helping me like at school dances and stuff, I've always done it on my own.
Yeah. She's been her own business person for the 25 years, but she's very gracious. She will let you come over if you're
Yeah, you
interested.
can bring your
Yeah.
camera or use my camera and you can play, or you can just sit in on a photo shoot if you want, with the mother's permission, of course, but they usually say yes. But I've had several photographers from VVC, students come and sit and do things. So you're welcome to come.
She's
I'm
really good.
I'm an open book.
I do have one other question that popped in my head just now.
Okay, yeah.
You deal a lot with babies. What happens when the baby has a meltdown?
So during COVID, it was terrible because they didn't take their babies to the grocery stores and stuff. And I was the most scary person ever. You just have to be patient, and you can't respond. Does that make sense? You have to be I always tell my husband, it's showtime, because you kind of have to. I remember Chris saying, like, I remember this when we were students, saying, like, how do you get along with all different sorts of people? And you just put your photographer coat on and nothing bugs you. You just tell yourself, because even especially with newborns, they can feel your vibe. And so you just have to be like, whew, this isn't going to bother me. This is way too, that's what I usually say. The parents are like, oh my gosh, he's terrible. No, he's acting like a 2-year-old. He's a 2-year-old. Do you know what I mean? So I think maybe because I'm in grandma mode, I don't expect kids to be perfect. I kind of expect it to be a wild mess. So I think you just have to get over that. It's going to be perfect and in fact, you probably can't see him because I'm not, let me unshare. Let me stop share. Oh, I'm on a picture. It won't let go on picture. Oh, there we go. So just to hide my junk, I've put these baby canvases up. And I always tell the parents that's a lie. There's not a baby that will just sit and lay and let you take pictures. That is a half an hour of work. Do you know what I mean? So you just have to tell yourself that's the way it's going to be. It's not going to be perfect. The kids are going to have meltdowns, and then you don't react. And I guess I encourage the parents. I know as a parent, you have expectations, it doesn't work. And so the parents are kind of having a meltdown. Do you know what I mean? I'm not getting the right pictures that I want. And I spend my time reassuring them, don't worry, I only need that 1 second. They're not, if the child's just throwing a temper tantrum, I say, at least they're not bawling. You know what I mean? I can't do anything with a bawling kid. So half the time I'm reassuring the kid, but half the time I am reassuring the parent. Don't worry, we will get pictures. And some photographers don't do this, but I show them the back of the camera and say, look at that one. That one's great. And then the parents are at ease, like, oh yeah, my child's a brat, but she's getting good pictures.
Right. Well, again, thank you so much,
Thank
Kathy.
you.
For
It was
sharing
fun.
Your world. Give her a hand.
All right, wish I could see your faces, but thank you.
Okay.
All right,
later.
bye.
Bye.